For more than a quarter of a century, scenes like these haunted viewers around the world and kept investors at bay. But of course, the tide has turned in Sri Lanka's civil war. The Tamil Tiger separatist rebels defeated in May. The head of the LTTE was killed, and in the space of a month, the stock market jumped, adding more than a fifth of its value. Well, Sri Lankan stocks continue to be among the best performers in the world this year. The Colombo All-Share Index is up almost 50% year to date. It's among the top 10, along with other Asian emerging markets like Indonesia, India and China. And to help rebuild the economy, Sri Lanka's central bank yesterday cut its benchmark interest rate for the third time this year. The bank's governor, Ajit Cabral, joins us now on the phone from Colombo for more. Governor, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Is this the start of a trend? See more rate cuts coming?
Well, we have been having a trend which started about 6 months ago, where we have been easing the monetary policy somewhat when inflation was easing. Now inflation is coming down to close to 1 or 2%, so that gives us a reasonable space to be a little more flexible in our monetary policy. So this is a trend, I would say, which we would maintain in order to ensure that the growth momentum is also kept up.
How flexible are you willing to be? For example, you have overnight foreign exchange trading limits on commercial banks. Would you ease those limits or scrap those limits?
Yes, we have in fact taken the first steps towards easing those limits. We have increased the positions that each bank would have quite substantially, because the foreign exchange has also eased quite a bit. With that, we have been conscious that with the overall downturn in the world, that we need to energize the Sri Lankan markets a little more. So we have given the space by easing interest rates. We have reduced the statutory reserve ratio. Our open market operations have been a little more flexible, and we have been also quite reasonably free with the credit as far as the banks go. So overall, there has been a relaxation policy which has been well taken by the market, and we expect that to continue in time to come as well.
Okay, any particular new moves you expect to introduce in the very near future?
Well, the trend of maintaining the policy rates at reasonably low levels are going to be there. At the same time, we have been calling upon the banks to be reasonably flexible in their lending, because we have been a little concerned that banks have been also, like everywhere else in the world, banks have been a little less eager to lend. And that's something that we need to address right now, because Sri Lanka, as you know, is coming into a new momentum. And to ensure that that momentum continues, banks will also have to take a reasonably aggressive mode in this next few months.
Okay, are you hoping to do that simply by telling them to go out and lend more? I mean, I wonder what the reasons are that they're a little reluctant at the moment.
Well, of course, central banks do have this moral suasion as one of their key instruments. We intend to use that, and it has been a fairly effective instrument as far as Sri Lanka goes, so I'm sure that that will have an impact.
And what about the Sri Lankan rupee? We're trading about 114.9 at the moment. How happy are you with the level?
I'm actually quite comfortable with that, because we did not want it to appreciate too much when the capital inflows have been coming in, because we have to ensure that there is a reasonable chance as far as the exporters also are concerned. Sri Lanka has a fairly large export-driven economic side to Sri Lanka, plus, of course, the imports as well. So it is important that we strike a reasonable balance, and I think that balance has been achieved with the current rate that is being traded.
So you'd like to keep it at this level? You don't want to see it appreciate?
Well, not right now, because I think it is fair to all concerned. And if you have a fair rate, people will have a greater confidence in the economy, and that's what we intend establishing, so that everyone knows it is a reasonably stable and a reasonably predictable economy. And that's what everyone is trying to do now, because the markets have got so volatile that people have been rather unhappy about that. So if Sri Lanka can maintain fairly stable, predictable figures in all our macroeconomic fundamentals, that would give confidence to long-term investors also to come in, and that's what we are aiming for.
Okay, Governor, thank you very much indeed once again for your time. That is Central Bank Governor of Sri Lanka, Ajit Cabral.